You'll see it come on your screen. Just as a reminder, you guys, we are putting these on our website. It is free to access them. We have the recording from all the ones from last time as well. And we've been adding some additional resources there. So if you haven't already, checked them out there, because we are putting them on YouTube, of course, as well for people to access. But if you jump onto the website and head over, I think in your follow-up emails, Jenna would have been putting the links in there as well. If you find the embedded resources there, let me share my screen so you know exactly what I'm talking about here. So if you're at joshbeer.com courses, Yogapreneur's Guide, then you'll find the recording, but we also have in here any resources we've made. So we've turned a couple of these things into like checklists or quick takeaways or whatever. It's all free. You can just go and grab it in there. So just so you know that you can sort of access it through our portal as well. And then, as I said, we also just have a playlist on the Josh Bureau YouTube channel that you can go to. So if you want to go watch the other ones, just to sort of keep everyone up to date. This Tahoe Yoga, yo guys. Okay, let's get rolling here. In all honesty, I've been totally scrambling for the last day. We're trying to put together a little mini like course thing and better checklists and stuff for you guys. So I don't have a slide deck for today. So you get to just see my lovely face. And we don't have too many people signed up. I think people are still reeling after the weekend, trying to figure out what to do. But a couple of things I wanted to comment on. So if you're like me, you're a nerd, that is. You've probably been following things like the markets and just seeing what's going on. And it's been interesting. The volatility in markets is extreme right now. And we had a huge uptick based on a few countries, namely the United States, doing massive bailout approvals and things like this that are coming through. The reason I'm bringing this to the equation is not so much that it means anything specifically for you guys to take action on. I'm just highlighting that yesterday in my private Yogapreneur Collective meeting, we were talking about the time frame of this. And I hope that I'm totally wrong and that this whole thing is over this week. That's what I hope. But I think that we have to embody the attitude of plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I just want to be very real, because we have a few studios who have jumped on or have been sending me emails after these webinars saying like, you know, everything you're saying is good, but what should we do? Because we just decided we're going to close for 2 weeks and like, we'll see you on the other side. And I think that that could be a death sentence for you. I'm being really blunt and maybe harsh about it, but I think you could totally fuck yourself if you don't take action on this, because I think that the time frame is longer than a lot of people expect. The one thing that I want you guys to really just get, Julie, that I want you guys to think about is that even when this is over, it's not over. It's still like, this is a wave. If you are, we have some studios in New Zealand that are jumping on and stuff. If you're in New Zealand, like it's just happening now. You're just getting shut down now. So that wave's like just arriving there, sort of thing. And I know it feels like this has been going for a long time because of how quickly things have been moving. The last week and a half has felt like an eternity, I think, for a lot of businesses. So all I'm highlighting here is not to be scary or negative, is that you need to start continually preparing and increasing your value as you go here. It's going to, whether this is over tomorrow or in 2 months from now, either way, it's going to benefit you anyways. But because I really think that even if this ends as like Trump saying by Easter, which seems like an arbitrary, ridiculous statement, there's still going to be lag for action in terms of the public taking action in the way that it was before this all happened. So to think that like something's over, markets are up, we're seeing these other indicators, people are just going to leave their houses suddenly and come back to your yoga studio en masse is really unlikely. So it's just to be prepared for that. It's just to say like, there's going to be some lag. So whatever the end moment is, add another month at least to that you need to get your feet back under you, get your staff going. And then I don't know about you guys, I've had some really, let's say, intense experiences in my life in many different ways, through work, through personal stuff, through, doing things like, I'll use a really easy example through playing hockey. I played hockey up into a really high level. And one year we made it all the way to the end through the playoffs. I had stitches around my eye and a dislocated shoulder and a broken finger. And it was like, but somehow you can keep going. Your adrenal response lets you keep going. The second it was over, I slept for a week. So the human psyche and the human body is designed to have an exhale moment. This is like yoga stuff 101, right? So I would just highlight that that's going to happen with a lot of the public here too. The people who are the most stressed or the most like, holy cow, this is crazy, when this is over, they're not going to be excited. They're going to actually exhale for a second. That's why that leg's going to be there. So I'm not saying this to sound like scary, dire, whatever else. What I'm suggesting is just be the studio that's prepared, because this is what's going to put you on top in the long run, this moment right now. That's what I really believe. Okay, so couple of questions a little bit different than what we have been talking about. Really practical things. So one is, there have been people that have been struggling with trying to get videos that they're filming uploaded somewhere because the file size is too large. So I just want to put on your guys' radar, if you use a Mac, you can just use iMovie and you just save it as not the best quality. You save it as 720p and it will be much smaller file size. So that would be an easy one. The other option is to use a program called Handbrake, which is a program that literally will just resave whatever you have smaller. You can choose the file size of it. So I'll give you an example here of what specifically we're talking about, just to make sure that we're on the same page. Here's my iMovie. This is a video that I did. Let's say that I go here to the top corner and I'm going to export it. And this would be the same if you're using something else like Adobe Rush or whatever else, same thing. When you go to save it, instead of saving it straight to somewhere, save it to File, and then it will ask you what quality you want. So you can go as high as 1080p, as low as 540. Quality can be low all the way to best, right? And the compression can be better quality or faster. So this is as small as you can get it. And you'll notice here, this video, which is 25 minutes long, is, you know, almost 500 megabytes. If I make it its full resolution, it goes to 22, 23 gigabytes. So that makes a huge difference in your upload speeds. The reason why this matters and why people are maybe having hiccups with this is, if it takes forever to upload and your internet's not fast enough or whatever for uploading, then super frustrating. But beyond that, you just don't need that highest quality when we're talking about online stuff generally. Where you need it is when you're doing like really quality camera films. So like if it's a high resolution thing, but you've been filming it on Zoom or on your iPad or your phone or something, it's not going to make a difference. You don't need like that 4K or whatever, unless someone's going to watch it on their enormous TV, but then you need to have been using a really pro level camera. So just a couple little practical things there. You can shrink your file sizes. The other thing is, we had Enti from FitGrid jump on yesterday to show my group some tips and tricks on how to use their platform for integrating things. But the one thing that he had that was really cool was he was showing us how to use music with Zoom a little bit better. So one of the things that you can do is, if you look at the bottom left corner of your screen, this might not be for all of you, depends on what Zoom you're using. Next to the microphone, there's an upward facing arrow. If you click that arrow, it opens up a window. Give me the thumbs up somewhere if that's actually happening. Yeah. And at the bottom of it, there's audio settings. So if you click into your audio settings, you can then select to, what's the exact wording here? Output, input, to share computer audio. Yeah. So the reason why this matters is if you're playing music, then you can have the audio from the computer coming through and the quality goes up, as opposed to just it's background music and it's picking up through the microphone. So play with that. Zoom's Help Suite also walks you through it. It's pretty straightforward stuff, but that can really help. And then we have been getting reports of actually microphones and stuff being sold out. But if you're in an area where Amazon's still delivering, especially and you don't have a microphone right now, that is, people were asking yesterday, what is the one equipment thing that you would invest in right now? Should I get lights? Should I buy a new camera? All that sort of stuff. Honestly, sound is what matters the most. So if you're going to prioritize anything and think in your budget right now, what should I get? It would be a microphone. That's what I would suggest. The most versatile microphone for most of you teaching yoga classes or even doing talking head stuff like this is going to be what's called a lapel mic. It's the one that clips on your shirt. There are many different versions of it. You can get a wireless one. You can get one that is wired. There's a brand, the Samsung Go mic is one that will connect to like your camera, your iPhone, your basically everything you've got. If it's not sold out, that's a good one to start with. Or you can spend like $30 and just get one it's straight up on a cord. So that can be a really easy one. If you plug the lapel mic into the computer, will it overtake the sound of your computer for the music? Yeah. So what'll happen is if you plug any mic into your computer, and you may need to either on Zoom in the settings or in the settings of your computer, select that microphone as what the computer is using, Liz. And then if you do that, it will pick up whatever it hears. So if there's music coming off your computer, it'll pick it up. If it's you talking, it'll pick it up. The reason a lapel mic specifically is helpful, though, is that they're designed, there's two types of microphones. Here's a crash course in Microphones 101. You have directional and you have condenser mics. A big microphone like this is a condenser microphone. Based on the settings, it takes all of the surrounding sound and condenses it. It's hypersensitive. Lapel mics are the opposite of that. They're like the microphones that you see people singing on. So if you've ever seen a singer and they're singing and they pull the microphone away from their face, it's because the further away it is, the less pickup it's going to be. So when they're really screaming or something, they don't scream right into the mic, they scream out here. So the lapel mic is that type, which means it does a good job of picking up your voice because it's really close to your mouth, not a good job of picking up the background noise of the room. So when you want the sound of your voice to come through clear, that's the one that's the most versatile. For music, I would suggest that you do something different. You're not actually going to use that mic for the music. So one of the solutions as well is, Liz, just give me a thumbs up. Are you using like Spotify or what are you using for? Yeah. Okay. So something like Spotify, Maria yesterday was sharing that what she's been doing is in the email that she sends out before the class goes, she's sending them the Spotify playlist. And then she's sharing playlists because then they can have their own device. We had somebody else actually send us a video of them practicing at home. And it was really cool because if you have that microphone so your voice is crystal clear on the computer and then your own device, your own speaker playing the music, it sounds amazing. So yeah, mic on the teacher. Yeah, if possible. Okay, awesome. Now, a couple of other things, other than these practical things that are on my radar. I think it's time, despite it's been like 3 days since our last conversation, to start looking at what is the potential pivot moving forward, because we're coming to the end of the month and the first of the month where payments are due and stuff like that. So on the public side, there could be some more reaction than there has been up until this point. And then the second thing I wanted to address, and then I want to just kind of go Q&A style with you guys, is getting new people in the doors. That right in this moment is probably not your primary focus, but I think that you want to start thinking about what that looks like, assuming that some sort of lockdown in your area exists beyond the next week and a half. So first off, the pivot as necessary. We've been saying up until this point, and I still think that this is true, changing your memberships, like canceling or pausing everyone's membership and doing it for free or cutting their price in half or whatever, it doesn't make sense. There's this like magic threshold that we keep talking about, right? So that doesn't make sense. But in the next week and a half here, as payments are due and mortgages come, like that sort of stuff, that's where people might get more panicky. Then they're going to start looking for what are the expenses that I can cut out. Hopefully at this point, you've already established that the value you're offering to them is so high that you're not on the chopping block. But realistically, we all know that that's also not entirely possible for 100% of your members. So what do you do instead? So in the interim, we've said, make sure you have a downsell offer. And I wanted to talk about those specifically. So the first downsell offer that I think could be really powerful is to say to somebody, like, would it help if we just changed your membership to our online only price? So you've already established what that's going to be. That might be half. It might be $40 a month. It might be 10, like whatever you want it to be. It doesn't really matter. What I would say is if your membership's normally like $100 a month and the online price is $75 a month and I'm trying to cancel, I don't give a shit about that $25. So whatever that price is that you present to me, it needs to be like an actual deal. It needs to be like, you know what, this is not a big deal. I can definitely just continue to afford that because I want to have access to all of this stuff. So yeah, it doesn't have to be like $10 or anything, but I think 30, 40, 50 is probably like a range to consider for most studios. So I would have that. And then I would have a backup downsell for if they're like humming and hawing on that, or they don't think that's going to work. You don't go to it right away, but you pull it out after the fact. So the backup that I would suggest if you're doing this method that we're talking about would be to ask them to do like a pay what you can model. So, because at this point, it's the thing that I would consider here, or the two things I would consider, and as we've been talking about, is at first, stalling cancellations is ultimately the goal. Because if I cancel completely right now, then when this is over in a month, and then you need to get me back in, you have to communicate to me and you have to sell me, and I have to make a conscious decision to come in and give you my credit card and start paying. And that's hard to do. Whereas if I'm paused or I'm paying even like $10 a month, it doesn't matter. I'm still in it. So then you could maybe like slowly ramp me back up, but I don't have to make a purchasing decision again. That's the big thing that I would say you want to buffer for if we're looking longer term. So the pay what you can would be, they just select like, what do you want to pay per month? And we'll set it at that. And they're like, I can afford $10. Cool. Because to you, you're getting something and they're still in your like direct sphere of influence. And the second thing here is that there's a lot of brand positioning that is a result of this right now. Way more than people think, actually, in my opinion. So I think that, and I'm going to use an outside of the box example here. We've been taught, I'm in Canada, so Boeing is a huge conversation. And a few other companies that are suddenly, the truth about Boeing is they made some planes this year that are shitty. So their stocks went down, and then they have been doing bad business, and they don't have a rainy day fund, and they don't have open cash flow. And now they need a government level bailout, and they're just so big that the taxpayers are going to pay for it. I'm not here to comment on the politics of that or my opinion on it specifically, but what I'm making the point is, it's a business that didn't have the ability to save itself is what's happened here. And what's the result of it is I'm talking about them right now, not necessarily in a positive light. So their brand positioning is changing. I think the same thing is going to happen with yoga studios right now, that your brand positioning, because this year, 2020, we've been talking about building your brand, how you handle things is ultimately for the rest of the year and beyond going to play out to your detriment or to your benefit. So one of the considerations is, if right now we're trying to make your brand have like that warm fuzzy feel for people and the community have a positive feel, how do you handle this situation so that people feel good about it afterwards? So this downsell stuff fits in with what most of you would probably say your mission is, which is to help people succeed at life by doing powerful yoga classes, something to that effect. So what you could say during this downsell is exactly that. We're still on a mission to help you succeed. We want you to be able to de-stress. It's really important you have access to these resources. If honestly you're telling me right now that you can't afford $50 a month, half price membership for our online stuff, even though we're putting out 4 classes a day and have a bank of 30 stuff that's growing all the time, I totally get it. And I don't want you to put yourself in financial danger. What's real for you? Because I don't want to cancel your membership. I want you to still have access to this stuff. What's real? That's the way I would play it. Just be really authentic. And if they still say no at that point, the final hold is, can we put it, I'm going to put it on hold for you. I'm going to pause your membership. There's no charges. It's paused indefinitely, but it's just, it isn't a full cancellation, because then when you do go to sell them to start it back up, it's like an email or a text or a phone call that says, yo, we're going again, full schedule. I want to turn you back on and get you in here. Cool? Yes. And they go. Versus cancellation, they can just kind of keep ignoring you and you have no recourse. So it makes the communication level easier. So that would be one model for how to do it. There's a million different ways to do this, but I think that you want to have that in place. The conversation started though with, how do we pivot if this continues on? What is full schedule? Yeah, good question. I mean, full schedule, what I would say And when will they return to full price? Great question. I think I would define a full schedule as based on me, the consumer's normal schedule. There is enough availability of live classes that I could practice at a regular frequency, and I would define that as 2 to 3 times a week. So if you have 2 or 3 classes every day, you're at a full schedule. Now, we have businesses in my group and that I've worked with throughout the years, yoga studios that legitimately never pass the 3 class a day mark. They don't bother making their schedule bigger than that, and their whole business runs on that, and it's fine. So you don't need to have 6, 7, 10 classes a day in all cases. Some markets you do, and that is a model you can follow. But to say that you're back up and running, you don't have to be all the way to whatever your peak was in the last year of classes. That's what I would suggest. So as long as there's like fair availability, if someone can come to you and say legitimately, and you can't really argue with it, like you have no class on their schedule that I can actually make it to, it's not possible for me. That's where that's where it's not a full schedule. So for the majority of people, remember 80-20 rule, do the best you can. You can't appease absolutely everybody. Second hockey analogy, when you own a yoga studio, it's like refereeing a hockey game. You can't make every single person happy, period. That's just how it goes. Okay. I'll stop with the hockey analogies. Sorry. It's like there's snow outside and ice, and I'm sitting there like, what else are we going to do? Okay. So other than that, the pivot here is part of this downsell. If you know what your online only price is, and that's what your downsell is, when you make the decision, if we need to get there, that you're like having too many people exit and you just want to put a Band-Aid on it to stall it and then start to resell, that's what your price is going to become. So you can define it now and know what it is. And the reason why you want to do that now is for this downsell, because what you don't want is to downsell someone to $50 a month and then start publicly advertising online memberships at $38 a month or something. That would be weird. And now you have multiple people at different tiers and the whole thing is more complicated than necessary for you. So define what that price is. Then the question is, okay, cool. How do we define what that price is? So there's no like exact science to this. The normal way we would define membership price is we would look at what is our hard expenses of what's our burn rate, what's our hard expenses per month, divided by how many people do we realistically think we can have on membership, equals X dollars. That would be a good starting point for your thought process of the price. So if you think right now that amidst all of this, like, 'cause everyone's at a different level. If prior to this, your membership was only at like 120 people, then maybe you need to start calculating on like, well, we're going to end up with 50 to 75 people. If your membership prior to this, I know some of you guys was at like 400 and 500, then realistically, you can probably bank on holding on to 200, 250 people. So it changes the metric a little bit. So just be realistic about it. And then once you have that price, so let's say you calculate, okay, I've got $10,000 a month in expenses. I think I'm going to hold on to 100 people. I need to be charging 100 people a month. That's where my membership is already. That's not going to work. Well, what's going to work? So it's just a way to make a sensical viewpoint of what would be ideal here. What are we trying to accomplish? The second question you can ask yourself, just knowing your market, knowing your public, knowing your people. And when I say knowing your people, I also mean knowing who's in your list, whether it's like whatever platform you're using, Karmasoft, Mindbody, Tula, Mariana Tech, whatever, the list of people that you have been accumulating for as long as you've been open, some of you for years of time, that is one of your biggest assets in general, and especially right now. So you can think back through your experience. If I have 5,000 people in my emailing list, in my list, in Mindbody, for example, what do those people want based on who I am and how they've come in and stuff? Like, what is the price point that's going to make them take action? Because if we're going to start having any membership growth, that's the first place it's going to come from. The likelihood of you running an Instagram ad, cutting through the noise, having someone see you, be convinced that, yeah, sure, I'm going to sign up for an online membership with your studio right now. I'm just being blunt about it. Like, that's really low. That's a hard sell. and your cost per acquisition is probably going to be way too high. So it's not the right funnel to be running right now. So I would be starting by leveraging my existing list. Who doesn't have a current membership right now, or who recently canceled? And even someone that like canceled their membership maybe 8 months ago because they moved or something, that person might join again. We're having studios report that are like, I love taking your classes. We just moved to the other side of the country. If you send the right series of emails or messages to those people, like, they're going to come back. And especially if you're the type of studio that has been, there's kind of two ways that studios grow, right? The most stereotypical one is you as a yoga teacher gain a following and then you open a studio. If you fall into that category, whoever's on your list, whether they're near you or not, you could leverage that right now because they might really want to just take your classes. Yeah. So in any case, reach out there first. And then part two of that is that those people are your cheapest marketing asset, because you can email them, text message them, even potentially run an advertisement to them as a custom list for the sake of talking. And they're already vetted as someone who has been directly interested in your business. So it makes more sense to put stuff there. Then once you have someone, we talked about a downsell, you need to have an upsell. So if they come and join on like a new sort of intro thing, or they join your membership at like an online membership or whatever, have an immediate upsell. In this case, the upsell is not to ask them for more money. It's to ask them to help your marketing by getting them to share. So get them to post something, or get them to check in online, or get them to refer a friend, or give them like a virtual buddy pass to have a friend join them, right? Like, we have people that we know who are Canadian, who are still in Mexico, and they're kind of at this point going to weather the storm there. But we're friends. If I'm taking Liz's yoga class on Zoom right now, and I have a virtual buddy pass, and they're telling me on the phone, oh, everything's closed here, I can't get a workout, there's no yoga open or whatever, I'd be like, dude, I have a virtual buddy pass, come and take Liz's class with me. And then they do, and they end up signing up at your studio. You end up collecting their information. And then you could upsell them. Hey, why don't you just have a virtual membership with us? It's only $20 a month right now. And they're like, okay. So it's shortening that degrees of separation, right? All these people, what you're creating is like 1 degree or 2 degrees only of separation between you and someone that gets referred. So that would be the other thing that I would be, from a marketing standpoint, how you could start gaining new members would be the point here. Liz is asking, if we want to retain as many members at full price, do we keep that on our site and offer, number 2, virtual only membership, or it's just Zoom classes, not the library, private group, minimum virtual? Yeah, good question, Liz. This has been coming up a lot. I think there's a controlling the narrative sort of situation here. So if it was me, you can kind of, it depends on your feeling, I guess. If it was me, I wouldn't publicly advertise my virtual only price until I'm going to pivot to that being my methodology. Like, if it's me, the other thing that, right, because be concerned about current members wanting to lower their virtual price. A lot of them lower to the virtual price. A lot of them it'll be oblivious to it. But just to keep things really straightforward and simple, I would play it close to the chest and use it as a downsell. Now, just advertise virtual studio. Yes. So then, at the moment that we're talking about now, where you may pivot the business, and maybe a couple of weeks from now, we're like, okay, we're going to a full virtual system. Then what we have to realize is we have a different value proposition. So in the last meeting, I talked to you guys about how to rewrite a value proposition for right now. You've got to reevaluate your whole business. You are not running the same business as you were a month ago. So every single thing that you did in your business up until this point, and I know in your case, Liz, like, you've been just killing it in your business, doing so much good business work on like your email funnels and your contact points and your sales points and your pricing strategy and your sales strategy. All of that all has to get made new again. I know that sounds like a lot. It's not a huge effort because the language and the style that you run is going to be the same, but the specific price point, the specific contact points, and the way you communicate and what you say, that's all going to shift. So you've got to start shifting it towards a new model. Where this is annoying, but just what else are you going to do anyways, is when we're going to have to make this shift potentially, and then it's not going to shift back. There's actually a third version in the long run here. Oh, can you guys still hear me? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Maybe you're muted, or maybe your sound just turned off or something, my friend. Oh, okay, good. Okay, great. So one of the things to realize is this is a total paradigm shift in the entire industry, and really on a few different levels in all industry. You're not going to go back to how you were, or if you do, I think that that's not intelligent. There's what you were before, there's what you're doing right now in this bubble, and there's what you're going to be afterwards. So being good at being flexible, pun intended, in doing this is not a bad thing for you, and is going to let you sort of end up ahead as we go here. So what I would suggest is just part of this pivot is also looking at what are my primary funnels. So how does someone discover me? How does somebody purchase from me? Once they purchase from me, how do I keep them happy and retain them? On the most macro level possible, those are the 3 levels that I'm looking at to begin. So the discover me, I emailed them / buddy pass, referral, that sort of stuff. How do they purchase from me? Make your funnel as simple as possible. This is just me only, but if I'm doing virtual online classes, there's no options. There's just the virtual membership. There's no like, you can buy a 3 or a 10 or a this. There's nothing. There's the virtual membership. That's it. If it's me, that's the way I'm going. Simplify the sales process to that level. So just take that into consideration. What you might be thinking is no drop-in. Yeah, absolutely no drop-in. 100% no. What I would do is, if your price point is right, I'll be willing to buy in despite and not do a drop-in or not do an intro or anything like that. I'll be willing to buy in because I don't feel like there's risk, because I can just opt out. So that's the key. It's the policy thing. You're not going to say you're locked in for 12 months. You're going to say it's a virtual online membership. You get all of this awesomeness as part of it. It costs X per month, unlimited. And if you cancel, you immediately lose everything. End of story. So you're either in or you're out, and that's it. Because the decision right now from the consumer psychology standpoint is a more amplified version of what we've previously been seeing, which is where they just are opting in or out. That's what I would think. I don't think there's a lot of decision-making process around, okay, I want in, but I think I want this deal. No, I'm going to do that instead. That's not going on right now nearly how it was before. If you give them those options, you run the risk of buyer confusion or them waffling. Someone who's opted in, then they go, you know what? On second thought, I'm just going to do a drop-in and see if I like it today. And you have no recourse because you're not in a face-to-face sales conversation with them in the same way. So that would be my suggestion for that. And if you want proof of this, just go look at any other online platforms out there, like Peloton. You can't do a drop-in for Peloton, that sort of stuff. So this is already a model that has been kind of proven when we're talking online stuff. Okay. So then we've talked around getting people in the doors a little bit. I want to sort of talk about what is a marketing strategy that's going to result in people getting in the doors at this moment in time, and then also for the next couple of months of time. We've talked a little bit about how you want to be sort of leveraging your organics as much as possible on things like social media so that you stay top of mind for people as much as possible. So keep it simple. It doesn't have to be highly produced things. Doing a live a couple times a week, making sure you're going, posting your Instagram stories all the time, just showing the behind the scenes. That has a lot of value right now in this moment. One thing that's interesting is the inventory in Google and Facebook is abundant. So your cost on any pay-per-click right now is actually lower than it has been because a lot of the big players have pulled out. The problem is what you're selling is sort of difficult to prove on acquisition. So the reason I bring it into the equation is there could hypothetically be some good benefit from a branding standpoint. Maybe not right now today, but right now as in over the next month or 2 months, where if there's a lower cost for someone to watch a video or something like that, if you put out decent high quality, not high quality in terms of camera and stuff, high quality in terms of legitimate value for the public in some way, if you put that sort of stuff out about your brand and then you threw a little bit of money at it, you're kind of for lack of a better way to say it, you're boosting your posts. I don't actually mean boost. I mean like targeted ads, but you're boosting them by saying, I know this algorithm sucks for businesses, so I'm going to put $10 on this for a couple days just so it gets seen by more people. I don't think that's going to immediately upswing your memberships, but what it's going to do is help you build more brand awareness and credibility during this time. So just have it on your radar that there might be a play here. What I would be considering is putting out as much free content as possible, leveraging your existing community right now. So that's things like have a Facebook check-in challenge. You can do like an Instagram contest would be a good thing to do right now. Like a simple thing like, hey, take a video or post a picture of you doing your virtual yoga class with this hashtag and this tag or whatever in it. Someone's going to win an annual membership. When this is over, it'll start from that day. You get a whole year for free because at this point, like, who cares? You got nothing to lose. So, and that's high enough value that people who are participating might actually do that. Then they're posted. You don't want them to post it on your platform. They post it on their platform, on their Instagram channel or on their Facebook page. And then you just check every day that hashtag, and anyone who's posted, you share it to yours as well, because you want the spider web to be bigger. On algorithmically, quick crash course on the algorithm is designed to have a human and a human interact. It is not designed to have a human and a business interact. So no matter what you do, a business will always have less organic traction. So when you do something like this, then you're going to have your members posting it on their own thing, their sphere of influence, it'll get more distribution than just yours as well. Yep. So that would be a simple thing. And then in the interim, I would be planning on, when I'm building this content, what are some things that are valuable now that are also valuable in terms of branding when this is over? So a good example would be, hey, this is Josh from Nomad Yoga Studio. And we all know that life is crazy and throws you some curveballs. What a lot of us don't realize is that you have built into your body an incredibly powerful tool to help you center yourself and to make stress be something that doesn't physiologically affect you. Wait, what is it? It's called breathing. I'm going to teach you a quick 1-minute pranayama technique that you can do anytime, anywhere, whatever else. Here's what it is, or alternate nostril breathing in the morning or whatever it is. It's short and sweet. You're like a 3-minute video. Don't say anything about pandemic, coronavirus, like none of that. Don't say that stuff. It'll be applicable because of the situation, but it's just as valuable in a year from now. If you had 3-4 pieces of content like that, I would be putting them out publicly, getting people to share them or whatever now, send them out in your email because they're relevant now. And then I would be looking at when we can see that the other side of this is here, like it's going to start ramping back up. While everyone else is sleeping, going, okay, we're ramping back up. How do we get students in? Double and triple down on that content. Throw money at it right then. That would be my pivot strategy, or one of them. So at that moment where I'm like, okay, people are coming back in, we're open, this is going to ramp up for the next month. I've got these 3 pieces of content that are like pretty decent, and I want to just have brand exposure, and I don't have time to make a brand new Facebook advertisement right now at this second. Promote that content. Put $50 on 4 of those things. You spend a couple $100. The inventory is still low. You get better traction. You just target everyone in my area within 5 miles, and then you get seen a whole bunch. And then in the write-up of those, you could be like, brand new intro pass. Everyone can do the intro. Like I feel like we have a fresh lease on life, a fresh start. So everyone's fresh. If you don't have a membership, you can do the intro again, for example. Cassie was asking, are we talking Facebook or Google ads? Google R's, yeah, ads, autocorrect. I'm talking both. So I would do this on both, but I'm specifically talking video in this case. Alternatively, when you're running like just Google search, it could be like a checklist or a download or a PDF or something like that. But I'm talking something that is really, really on brand, really good feeling. So some sort of video thing is probably going to be there. So Facebook and Instagram for a yoga studio, Casa Yoga would be my starting point, because despite what other information's out there, those are your big platforms for that. You can look at TikTok if you haven't yet. This might be an interesting time to start running TikTok ads on the way out. And then potentially YouTube as well. Just because YouTube, instead of, you're still going to run YouTube through Google ads, by the way, but YouTube specifically is one of the most underutilized and estimated platforms from an advertisement standpoint by a local business right now. And what I would be looking at is when advertisements ramp back up and when stuff is ramping back up, where people's eyeballs going to be still, and where are the other advertisers in your area not looking? Where are they not running ads? So Facebook and Instagram are the first places. You should still be there, but YouTube falls into that category. I can almost guarantee if there's 10 yoga studios in one market, that there's maybe one that's running YouTube ads. So that would be why you would consider something like that. This is a generalized thing in general for our whole industry. I just think it's something to be considering as we're moving forward here. Yeah. Okay, that's kind of the major things on my list that I'm getting, feedback coming back from you guys on right now. So let's change it up. I'm going to just check if there's any questions here. And other than that, you're welcome to actually unmute yourself and ask anything. If you aren't comfortable doing that, you can always post into the chat here as well. So we got about 15, 20 minutes here. So,
hey, Josh.
Yo. Oh, you're muted again, my friend.
How's that?
Yeah, there we go. Got it.
Hey, a tech friend thought Vimeo might be a better platform than Zoom, just overall in terms of being able to move what we're doing to video easily, and just the cleanliness of how it looks and everything. I know it costs a little bit more. What are your thoughts on that for Zoom?
Yeah, I think that your friend is giving you good information. So for example, all of my videos that are in my Yogapreneurs library for our members, they're all on Vimeo and then just embedded there for exactly the reasons you're talking about. Better controls, looks better on the website or whatever. That's not the same as running a live class right now, though, in real time. So the first thing I would say is these decisions, if there's something that's like stopping you from taking action, just make a decision, because as long as you have the MP4 file, you can upload it everywhere afterwards if you want to, right? Okay. So it doesn't matter. But what I would say right now in terms of Vimeo versus Zoom, it's actually a question of a recorded class versus a live class. Okay. So Zoom, if we're live, we can see each other right now, and that makes sort of a social element to it. But the result is, like, if we record the tiles that you guys see right now, and then I upload it, and in a year from now you go to watch it, you can do the class, but really it's just the audio, right? Whereas if you have a camera set up and you're going to actually film teaching a class, like maybe one person demoing and one person teaching, or you like demo and then do the posture, and it's just a recorded MP4 on whatever device, and then you're going to upload it somewhere, clearly Vimeo is then the choice for that sort of thing. The exception is if you use Vimeo Premium, which to get their best deal, it's like $75 a month. It costs like $1,000 a year. So you've got to go all the way to that level. Then you can live stream on Vimeo as well, and you can password protect things. So if you go to that level of it, you could live stream the class, and it's automatically just uploaded to Vimeo and saved there. So you don't have to worry about your bandwidth of saving on your hard drives and stuff like that either. So there are some advantages to that, but that's a significant expense to just be aware of. And you still can't see the people participating. So, which is might be fine. You just want to know that you're making that decision. So if I'm watching the class live, you might see that I'm seeing it live, but you won't actually see me. So the way you teach the class changes subtly as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Shoot, Kay.
Hey, Josh.
Hey.
So we just went with, because we wanted to keep it really simple and get stuff out there. Our Zoom classes and our class recordings are just available to anyone.
Yep.
And we feel really good about this right now. But if this, depending on how long this lasts, then we're going to turn towards having people pay for it. So do you have any thoughts on how to do that the most seamless way?
Yeah, so I think first off, that's cool. And there's definitely, this is a market specific thing. So when we're doing free stuff think the best analogy that we'll all understand is like, get a free week of yoga and then we have to upsell them to something, right? Or like first class free, and then we have to upsell them to something. That model is possible for any online stuff as well. So we're doing this free stuff, but then there's an upsell. So if that's the model that you're following, simplify it. And I would just say that the free stuff should be really good quality, but then what it doesn't give you is like a recording afterwards, or a checklist, or a tutorial, or like, how do you make the value that's behind the payment wall, that's the upgrade, it doesn't have to actually be that much more, but it's clearly more. It's clearly something special. So the simple thing like, yeah, this is a live video for free that's available here. But we have a bank of 50 live classes of all different styles or different teachers that you can take when you're a member, including tutorials and a private Facebook group where we talk about blah, blah, blah. Like just anything, it doesn't really cost you more, but it makes the perceived value be clearly better. And consider you guys did this extremely well in your studio, Kate, having like perks of membership, right? So like if you're a member, there's also these perks that come with it. I would look at it that way.
What about, so would you do that versus like transitioning everybody from like right now the Zoom classes are free, the class recordings are free, but transitioning everyone to a model where they actually pay for those things?
Right.
Or
yeah, I mean, no, you kind of the same thing. So what you could do is whatever's free right now is like the taster. There is a yoga studio. It was a competitive yoga studio to us. So it really pissed me off because they were my competitor, but it was a genius idea. They ran yoga in the park and they branded it Yoga in the Park. So no one else could use that language. It was clearly them. They ran it for like a whole year as they were building their studio. And then just overnight said, now it costs $10, and started charging people for it. So it was a genius idea because what they had established was people liked them and had that rapport and were then willing to pay. They had increased the value over time. So you could do that. The key to it though is that if I can go back and get the previous recordings and stuff for free, not that people do this, but like, then I think, well, I have access to all this already. Why would I pay? So you have to eliminate that access. So the model is anything that's live right now in real time is free and you can access, but then it's over. It's time sensitive. So then the upsell is, we're just going to transition you guys to membership and you get every single live in real time and you get all the recordings and you get all this other stuff. Yeah. And then the number of lives, like we're going to have a class that's live every day versus I'm going to do a public live once a week. That's a big difference as well. So that might be something to that effect anyways, Kay, I think would be there. Yeah. Okay, so Ladonna is asking, do we recommend that the virtual month gets live Zoom via the MBO FitGrid only, or that they also receive access to the library and audio video file? Virtual month gets live Zoom. I think Ladonna, maybe if you're still here, my friend, you can unmute yourself just to clarify. You mean like your members, what do they get access to? I'm not sure if I still see her on here or not. Okay.
Yeah, I was just asking for the virtual month, it's going to be at the lower price point. We're going to set up the Zoom in MindBody FitGrid.
Yep.
So they could just get those, or then they get the rest that we've already got. We've already got a bunch of audio files, a bunch of video files. You know, are you thinking they get everything, or they're just getting the live classes as they happen?
Yeah, I got you. Over deliver. Simple as that. Yeah,
makes sense.
Totally over deliver in this case. The other thing now that's really tricky is that there's a few platforms out there that people have memberships where they have literally hundreds of yoga classes on them and they're paying like $8 a month. Like it's like stupidly cheap. So the important detail here is you're not trying to compete with those. You can't, because you will lose. They have like 4 years of effort on you already and a bunch of teachers that they've been honing for this or whatever else. Don't even go that direction, but know that it exists. So your current members, if they feel like if this goes on long enough and they feel like what you're trying to sell them is the value proposition isn't high enough, that's where there's some just bad feeling, even if they stay on. So it's really like, how are they going to feel? So I would just say, give them the live things and then also put the recording and stuff up as well. Usually what happens when we have a recording and a live mixed is the live buys us time to go through the technical steps to make the recordings better and uploaded properly and to whatever else. So I don't need to launch a new recording every day because I'm going live every day. You know what I'm saying? But if I go live today, that class doesn't need to be up today. It could be up next week. Doesn't matter. It just like buys you that time. So I think that's one of the details as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking of the other side of, instead of the online offerings, which there are so many, is how to make the $99 person feel like that they're still getting their value at $99 versus this person who's just coming in. So, but I see all sides of it. It's really hard to balance.
Right. So yeah, that's exactly why earlier we were talking about, this is one of those things you got to kind of play it cool, watch your metrics, see what's happening, not in a stressful way, just have the plan. But where we get hurt, let's say, is when we have like all of a sudden our cash flow just goes boom and it's cut in half. That's where it really hurts. So for every week that we can sort of buffer on that and have it slowly go, so using that downsell model, I think that is why that might be smart as well. Christine commented that Zenred is now offering a live product. Do I know anything about it? I do not, but thank you, Christine, for telling me. I will reach out to my contacts at Zenred today and find out for you guys. By Friday, let me have something for you. Definitely, there's a lot of platforms. I know BrandBot as well, if any of you use it, has been scrambling to try to have some sort of an integration put together. To my knowledge right now, it's still not done. The only integration is MindBody with Zoom through FitGrid. So that's the one that got finished really quickly. You know, the truth is, there's a lot of technical ways for us to solve these things. It depends on where you are right now in time with your business. So the simplest answer is the best answer. And I'm sure you've heard me say this already, but I'm just going to say it again. Like, if you're sort of like getting your feet under you right now, you're not looking for the best solution. You're looking for any solution that is launched. Launching is everything. So just get this shit up and going, because then you can add to it and improve it over time. But the one major consideration here is continue to add to it, improve it over time. So just keep your eye on the prize, sort of thing. Thank you for bringing that up though, Christine. I'm gonna look up what's going on there and reach out to those guys right away. Liz is asking, sound question. You always have music in the background on a separate speaker, or do we share the playlist trying to improve the sound? Yeah, I mean, sharing the playlist, I think, is the way to go, Liz, if you want the most premium sound in terms of the consumer side's feeling of the whole thing. I would also have the sound in the background so that it's like they can sync it up a little bit, but it's not really a perfect system. That's where with Zoom, you can click and say, share computer audio in there as well. And if you do that, it's not the microphone picking up the sound. That's where the sound on Zoom is crappy. Because right now, all the sound you guys hear of me talking is me talking through this microphone. You might have to go in. I think it's just in that up arrow thing that we looked at, but you can also, let me just see here. Microphone, speaker. You might also have to turn on a setting in your zoom.us account, like you go online and go into your settings just to make sure. But the bottom line is, if you turn on share computer audio, then if you were to like play a video on your computer, that sound is going to come through the speakers for them. So that's the best middle road if they're not going to have their own device playing it. The important detail that's tricky to play with a little bit here is making sure that your voice comes through properly. So that's where that mic might be good, or if the mic's not there, then the proximity to the microphone matters. So let's say I'll just use this. This could be a computer, your laptop, your iPad, whatever it is, any microphone. If this is the microphone, the further I get away from it, the less it picks up. That's the way the mics are designed. So technically speaking, let's say I know that you have IHP at the studio or like a flow class or something, you would kind of be Instructing the class, close. So anytime you're going to say something, you don't say it from across the room where you're demoing it. You come up and you say it first. Okay, next we're going to do one arm plank. Remember, this is a spinal position and this is how you're using your core. Leave it there, then go demo, then come back, ready, go, so that they can hear you. So it's a little bit back and forth, but if you strategize on that, that would be helpful. For running like an original hot yoga class, then basically you want to be close enough. You want to just probably stay the same distance. You're going to be a little bit floating head. It's a very verbally run class, obviously. So that would be the benefit. Also, it's impossible to effectively talk where you're really doing standing backward bending. I've tried many times. So not if you're really doing standing backward bending. Okay. So if we're recording, yeah, we add to that. Yeah, I would have it on your recording as well. Better record IHP class that are not filming on Zoom. No, I think you can teach IHP on Zoom as well. You know, what I would say right now as a strategy, if you want to like, let's just take it up a notch. So there's like, let's just get something going. Zoom is a good solution for that. Now let's up level it one more, would be have a live class every day for each one of the styles that you offer, right? So that would be like a good starting peg point. With the exception of if you had a yin class, but you only ever ran it once a week anyways, we don't need to do it every day then. Run it twice a week, 3 times a week. And then supplement that by having some filmed classes where you go through the effort of the filmed class being of a higher quality. I mean, those of us that came out of the Bikram world as well, you guys know what I'm talking about. How many times have you ever listened to the Bikram Yoga CD, that old tape or CD of Bikram teaching a class? Like a bazillion times when we used to travel. So I used to be able to say the exact same thing he was saying because you've heard it every single time. So the point here is if you don't need, yes, we want to make the library of your assets bigger, but you don't need a bazillion of them for it to have really high value. What you need is a half decent quality. So to start, if you want to up level one, have your live classes so that you have a scheduled, scarcity-based sign up for thing that keeps people engaged. And then the next thing would be to create one version of each of your classes to start, and then eventually 2, and then eventually 3, that it's more just filmed and it's higher quality. So the sound is good, the music is good, there's a demo at the same time, that sort of thing. This is where if you're stuck at home, you get to employ your significant other or your kid or your cat that I see in the background here for Firebrand as well, whatever you got, you know, so that you have someone teaching and someone demoing or something like that. And you just make it half decent quality. And that's part of what's just nested online, and you just tell everyone about it. Because the live is more exciting when it's live. The recording of it's fine, but that recording might be a better go-to. So hypothetically, they could take 1 or 2 live classes per week, and then they're like, shit, there's nothing on the schedule. I need to move my body right now. What am I going to do? They go watch your one high quality one instead, and they'll do that class 4, 5, 6, 10 times over the next month, and it's probably going to be just fine. The only other thing that we've had a couple studios doing that you could consider if you're looking for something really quick is straight up just record your voice and send it and put it there. So no visual at all. Just give them a audio. Where that can be powerful is they can just chuck it on their phone and then go. So for your members, understanding that they understand the practice that you offer to some extent. So even something that is quite dynamic, like a power flow class, you can teach a pretty straightforward version of that just verbally if you're good at it. Something like a hot yoga class, it's quite easy to do. So if you're looking to just like get some more content for them that's valuable, that's a quick thing to do, because all you do is go on your computer. If you're using a Mac or whatever, you'd use like QuickTime Player and then say new audio recording, go. You get to be nice and close, teach the class. That's it. So for speed, you could work on that. And then also the one thing that we're not addressing here specifically, you guys, is your staff as well. So whenever possible, get get your staff involved on this too. Get them involved. Get them to film themselves teaching a class, send it to you to put out as well. So if you're a really small studio, even if you just have like 3 other teachers, if there's you and 3 teachers and you go on Zoom and help them get their thing set up, and you all teach one of each version of class that you have that they teach, and you immediately have a library of like whatever, 3 of each class times 4 different classes. Like you've got like 10, 20 videos that are decent for people to watch. That plus your lives, like that's a starting business model right there. So that can work. Yeah. Megan was asking, what is the best way to send them a verbal only recording? Yeah, so it's an MP3 recording. You can just straight up send them the MP3. You can embed it as well. You could look into SoundCloud. Megan would be one of the places that I would put it. Yeah. There's also, just like there's like a video embedder, like you would put something on YouTube and then embed it and they watch it. Technically it's on YouTube, but they're watching it on your website. There's the same sort of thing for just sound as well. And then if push comes to shove and you want to make it like super easy, anything that is an audio file, you could make a video file and upload it to a video player. So you could just go on YouTube and have a screen, record yourself on Zoom and just share your screen and have your screen be your logo. That's it. And then make a video recording, which is really just the verbal recording. And then you have an MP4 and you could upload that to YouTube or whatever else. Yeah. One of the things to consider is like the public understands how that works now because of the number of people. I think, that's where marketing is going, is back to voice. There is some crazy high percentage of people who put on YouTube and just listen to it. So they're on YouTube, but they're not watching YouTube. They're listening to YouTube, right? That sort of thing. So, yep. Okay. We're kind of coming to the end. Let's grab a couple more questions here. Issues encountering brand position because we have moved to paid with a smattering of free. And other studios are free. We're getting some negative reaction. Help. Yeah, I gotcha. So one of the things is this is why this is like a precarious situation, because you're going to keep sort of pivoting. Like it's not like you do one pivot here and then it's over. So that would be the first thing I would say. What I would suggest is you just really want to make it more community centric and engagement centric. So the one kind of confusing part about this whole conversation that we're having is that we're talking about how do I do stuff online and have that be what I'm selling now, my online classes, my online tutorials, whatever else. But I think that we still have to realize that at this moment in time right now, for the majority of us, the real value that we're offering is not the online classes. Because if I just wanted to take a high quality online class, there's a bazillion other options out there. The reason why I have a membership with you is that I like you and we have rapport and I'm part of your community. So that would be the side to anchor in on as much as possible. And this goes back to some of our first webinars. We were talking about other things to be doing, like have a social hour, have a movie watch night that you share online, have a talk yoga philosophy day, have a whatever else, just anything to keep the community engaged and celebrate the successes, that your students are having as well, and have those competitions and stuff like that. Because what you're trying to do as much as possible, as this is a little bit vague, I know, but what you're trying to do as much as possible is create the situation where it is an apples and oranges comparison. Where you get this negative feedback is when it's an apples to apples. They're like, well, that's a better apple. So if it's an apples and oranges, then it doesn't link up as much. That's what we're trying to create, generally speaking. Awesome. Other than that, have your downsell and just have a really positive reaction. What I find right now is that if people come at us with negativity, there's only one type of anger, self-anger. So even when someone's like coming at you because they think you've done something, if you're completely non-reactive, it just ends up back on them because they realize that they're out of whack. Negativity in general kind of works that way. So I think that when someone's coming at you negatively, there's a lot more going on for them that we don't know behind the scenes. So is a general, concept react with empathy and compassion as much as possible. And what I would say is we're in a unique moment where I'm often a proponent in the yoga studio world to not be such a pushover, because we really can be pushovers in the yoga world. In this instance, it's not about being a pushover, but it's about being more flexible than normal. You're like, hey, I really hear what I'm hearing you saying is that you think that everything should just be free and that we shouldn't be charging you to take these online classes, even though I'm paying the teachers and stuff for them. Is that true? And they're like, oh, wait. And you're like, that's cool. You know, how can I make you happy? Because what's important to me is that you stay healthy and that you're part of our community. And I want you to feel awesome. Like what can I do that would, you know, help you succeed here? And you kind of just, it's not, you have to do it really soft so it doesn't come across aggressive in some way. But and then be prepared to react to what they say. Like, well, I want my stuff to be free, or be, you know, and you might have to at some point soon make that decision and be like, I'd love to just put your membership on hold if that's what you think is the best for you right now, if that would help you and that's going to give you the most value that we can give you right now, I'd be happy to do that. But it's a different, because there is sort of like a power dynamic here. I almost don't like saying power in this situation, but there's a dynamic here. So beyond that, yeah, if everyone's free in your area, it fucks with your shit. So my heart goes out to you. I totally get it. It's the same thing in the yoga world. There's a lot of markets we deal with where like every other studio in their market is charging like $11 for a friggin' drop-in. And it's just totally undermines the whole pricing strategy for the market. So all I would say is the same recommendation. In those markets, we still say like, fine, be the premium place, charge 20. So same thing, position yourself for your existing members as the more premium option, so that if they were to cancel, they would be missing out. FOMO is powerful. So yeah, we all know for sure. Okay. They are all donation-based, which isn't my mouth. Yeah, for sure. Donation-based in general is frustrating. All I would say is it's not to copy them, but you might have to go, thanks, Christine. Yeah, you bet. You might have to have that donation-based or the pay what you can model. That's where your pivot might end up going, whether that's ideal for you or not, just because that's the local model. So just maybe be prepped on that. So cool. All right, you guys, another one coming on Friday. This is all going to be uploaded as well for you to check afterwards. We'll probably put together some more resources there. And anyways, stay strong, keep going, keep your people happy. You're doing good things. Yes, I'd love to have a review. Anyone, Google or Facebook are great for me. That would be great. Nomad Business Coaching or Josh Bureau, you'll find them. Thank you so much. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace.